Your patents may be weaker than you think. If your patent application is just a technical description of your invention or your product, you're already behind your competition. The way you prosecute your intellectual property, your patents, can determine whether it becomes a powerful business asset or an expensive framed piece of wallpaper. Here are the top 5 prosecution strategies that sophisticated companies use to build strong portfolios with defensible IP. Let's get into it. Strategy number 1, draft with enforcement in mind. Many founders think prosecution is about getting an allowance as quickly as possible. That, frankly, is just a mistake. The real goal is not just to get an allowance, it's to have a piece of IP, a patent that's enforceable and gives you commercial leverage. When you draft and prosecute a patent, you want to be asking yourself, in 5 years, when I assert this against my competitors, will it cover their products? That means avoiding unnecessary limitations in the claims. Many founders believe that the more words that you have in a patent claim, the more that claim is covering. In reality though, each element of a patent claim becomes a requirement for an infringer to infringe. If your claim, for example, has, let's say, 5 elements, a competitor only needs to not do one of those 5 elements in order to not infringe the patent. So what that means for you is you want to include only what's essential to the inventive concept, but be disciplined about excluding features that may or may not be necessary for the invention itself. The way you get a broader patent, the way you get broader claims, is frankly by having less language in there. The less elements an infringer needs to infringe, the harder it is for them to design around your patent. This also means using functional language carefully and intentionally. Functional language describes what something does rather than what something is. So, for example, instead of claiming a stainless steel spring, you might use language that's more general and say a biasing mechanism configured to apply pressure on something. That can be a powerful way of broadening the language in the claim, because rather than claiming specific structure, you're claiming the function, which means that multiple types of things can then be covered or infringe that language rather than only covering, in this example, a specific spring. Also keep in mind, if you're using functional language, if your technical description is thin, you may unintentionally be narrowing the claims. On the other hand, if you're too specific, your competitors can easily design around that claim language because, well, it only covered a spring and that's all you disclosed. Use functional language where it expands commercial coverage, but make sure that in your specification of your patent application that you use multiple examples. I often say to clients that ink is cheap, and so there's no loss in making sure that you cover all the reasonable examples, all the things that you know that can be switched out for that specific element in which you or your competitors may end up using in the future. Again, a common mistake is over-narrowing claims simply to get an allowance. That can frankly permanently limit your leverage, and in the long run, you want a stronger patent, not simply a quick allowance. Strategy number 2, build layered claim coverage. Strong portfolios are rarely built around one single claim. Rather, you want to think about your claim coverage in a patent as concentric circles that sort of start as broad scope and then slowly narrow down to very specific embodiments. The way that I would think about these concentric circles is you start out your broadest independent claim. That covers your core inventive concept. Then you're going to sort of narrow in, and you've got narrow dependent claims below that independent claim that protect specific embodiments. And then beyond that, you want to look at, well, do I have claims covering specific commercial products that we intend to sell? And then smaller than that even, do we have claims that read on likely design arounds or embodiments that I think my competitors are going to do? This layering, frankly, creates optionality. Many businesses think of a patent as one single thing that it's going to be really difficult for the competitor to design around. I think a better way to frankly think about a patent and think about patent claims, you want to create a minefield rather than a single bomb. One broad claim is easier to design around than a minefield that the competitors have to tiptoe around in order to make sure that they don't run into your patent and create legal risk on themselves. Additionally, if you're relying on sort of one single broad claim, if that broad claim ends up getting challenged and invalidated, you still have those narrower claims that may end up surviving and you can rely on to keep your competitors out of the market. Additionally, if the competitor ends up modifying their product to try to design around, you may still end up having coverage because, again, it's not one mine they have to step around, it's a minefield they've got to navigate. Too many companies rely on a single broad claim and assume that is enough. It is usually not. Strategy number 3, use continuations and divisionals strategically. Oftentimes businesses will treat a patent as the end of the story, and the way I'd like you to think about it from now on is the patent, the first one you file, should really be the beginning of a storyline, and you should use continuations and divisionals to continue that story. So in the United States and some jurisdictions around the world, continuation practice and divisional practice is one of the most powerful prosecution strategies you can have as a business. A continuation is a new patent application that uses the same specification as the prior application that's been filed, but the reason you file it is you want to go after different claim coverage. You want to file different claims. It's the same invention, it's the same specification, but just different claim coverage. A divisional is a little similar to a continuation, but it's typically filed when an examiner in the parent or prior application says you've got more than one invention, you can only go after one invention at a time. And so pick one in the parent, in the divisional, you go after the other invention. One thing to keep in mind, both tools allow you to keep a patent portfolio family, related applications alive while adjusting the claim scope in those patents. So let's get into some of the benefits of continuation practice. So continuations can allow you to adjust claim scope down the road as the market evolves. When you file your patent application, you may have in mind, here's the product I want to cover, but you may not know what Gen 2 looks like. And so being able to adjust claim scope down the road to make sure it covers Gen 2, Gen 3, assuming it was disclosed in the original specification, is a powerful tool to make sure you've got patent coverage on continuing product lines. The other reason that it's very important is you can target specific competitors' products. You file your original patent application, and down the road, your competitors may either come up with the same product, may come out with the same product plus some tweaks, or may try to come out with a design around. Having a patent out there that you can just tweak on command to have claims that read on those competitor products, they can be very powerful, they can create risk for your competitors, or they may end up keeping them out of the marketplace to compete with you. So let me give you a common example that I've had multiple clients talk to me about is company goes to a trade show, they're doing market intelligence on their competitor. They realize that there's a competing product that's out in the market or there's a competing product that is going to be soon released into the marketplace. And the company says, we have a patent on this, let's see whether or not we've got coverage. Does this read on my patent? And in some instances it doesn't, because maybe it's a Gen 2, maybe it's a Gen 3, maybe they've taken the original invention and tweaked it. But what you can end up doing is you go back and you look through the specification and you ask yourself the question of, is that competitive product with those tweaks, with those design arounds, are they disclosed in the specification? Are there ways that we can get claim coverage in our continuation and make it read on that new competitive product? Being able to do that can really, really leverage one patent into something that covers a whole host of things that maybe you didn't think of the first time you filed it. Continuations also allow you to capture your improvements without losing priority. And so when I say priority, what I'm talking about is the date you filed your patent application with the US Patent and Trademark Office. The reason that matters is in the United States, when you file a patent application, you're setting a line of demarcation between everything that happened before you file and everything after you file. Everything that happened before you filed it can be used as prior art to prevent you from getting a patent and prevent it from being allowed. Everything after it was filed can't be used to invalidate or stop you from getting a patent. So when you file your patent application and you make improvements to that product or that invention down the road, oftentimes you'll want to say to yourself, I want to get coverage for this new product or these tweaks, but I don't want to lose my priority date. I don't want all of that new stuff that has been done in the interim since I filed my patent to be used against me as prior art to prevent me from getting a patent or to potentially invalidate it down the road. I want to keep that priority date. And so with a continuation, you keep that priority date, and assuming you've got disclosure in your specification, you've got coverage for those tweaks, you can then add claim language and add claims that continuation to cover that Gen 2, that Gen 3. Keeping that priority date can be very powerful. One thing to keep in mind when it comes to continuations divisionals is they require planning in advance. If you let your original patent either go abandoned or issue, the time to file a continuation or divisional has already lapsed. You have to file it while that parent application, while the original patent is pending. Strategy number 4, prosecute with future enforcement in mind. Every argument you make in front of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office while you're prosecuting your patent application can be used against you down the road when you try to enforce your patent. Where this comes up most often is when you're trying to distinguish your invention, your claim language in your patent from prior art references that a patent examiner has cited against it. What that means in layman's terms is, patent examiner says, someone's already invented this invention, here's the prior art, and you can't get a patent now. And so in response to that rejection, in response to that prior art, you'll then argue that these particular features in the claims are defined as this, or that prior art reference discloses this and here's what it means. All of those different arguments that you use to distinguish your patent, your claim, your invention from those prior art references, those things can be used against you down the road when you try to assert your patent against third parties. A common mistake, frankly, is being overly aggressive and going above and beyond what's necessary in order to get the patent application allowed. Again, the common theme with these strategies is that the short-term goal of getting allowance shouldn't override long-term goals of being able to enforce this IP against third parties. Prosecution strategy should be coordinated with litigation risk in mind. This doesn't mean sort of being adversarial or argumentative with patent examiners. It means being disciplined and thoughtful about how you frame the prior art and the claim language in your patent. Strategy number 5, align IP strategy with business strategy. The strongest IP portfolios reflect the business strategy priorities. Ask yourself, what revenue streams do we see being most profitable over the next 3 to 5 years? A lot of companies will simply say, we can file a patent on this, or we can get claim coverage on this, therefore we should. And what you end up having is a spray and pray method of getting patent applications. The better way to think about it is that all revenue streams are not created equal. Some revenue streams have higher margins, some have lower margins. Your patent coverage should prioritize the technologies and the aspects of your products that you see being more valuable in the future. Every company is going to be in a different stage of their life cycle, and so their IP strategy should be based on where they are in that stage. So for instance, if you're looking to raise money through venture investment, a venture investor is going to be looking for different things in your IP than a strategic acquirer. So for instance, a venture investor may look at your core technology and make sure that you've got claims covering your core technology because that's the reason they're investing. Conversely, a strategic acquirer may look at what is your claim scope? Where do you have coverage geographically? How much longer do you have on your patent term? Those are just different types of questions that those folks will ask. But if you anticipate diligence in any way along these different types of paths, you will need to keep these things in mind in order to make sure that your IP strategy matches up with your business strategy. Those are the top 5 prosecution strategies to build a stronger IP portfolio. IP should function as a business asset, not simply a legal formality. If you have an invention that you need to get on paper or need to streamline the patent approval process in your company, click the link in the description for a free invention disclosure document. Hopefully this gets you started on the path of getting a patent. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.